Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're going to be covering Rising 40, and guess what?
I'm here.
We got James
In person.
Whoa! In person! We got James. So we're going to be talking about the Rising fights. There were 14 fights. It was exciting. Rising type Bellator. So hope you like it. Enjoy. Check it out.
Right. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Yamatodamashii podcast.
Hey!
He's in person. What happened?
The hell? You're here!
I jumped through the computer.
Wow! So we're in person for the first time.
Crazy.
And we just got back from Rising 40. They call it the Nenmatsu event, which is the year-end event. So it's the biggest event that Rising has. So we just got for super good fights. Yeah,
definitely.
We're here to talk about it today.
Amazing event. Awesome event. It's kind of crazy though, because like it was so long. Like, it was literally the fight started at the opening ceremony started at 2, and then we were leaving about 10:30.
I was there at 11,
and you were there early, right? Because of the fights. So yeah, it was. I've never been to a show that long before, but from a spectacle point of view, I've never seen anything like it. The only thing I can compare it to is like WrestleMania, which I went to one of them, and that was like 60,000 people, big outside stadium with like fireworks.
Huge.
So that was pretty big. But like this, for like especially like the way the production was for me was huge. It was mind-boggling how they like the sound was the thing.
That's what lighting.
Yeah,
freaking.
The sound was like the thing that threw me the most. Like because they got such good bass in it, so like everyone's song kind of comes out, and I think for every fighter that came out, you were kind of thinking like, oh, maybe you should have picked a better song, or like, oh, that's a good song. You picked well. Like, there's a couple where I was a bit like, considering how good the sound is, you could have picked a better song. Like especially when Pitbull came out, right?
Oh damn! I know that the Brazilian national anthem.
Literally almost like killed the crowd.
I know, yeah.
But yeah, I thought what we do is we'll just like go through some of the fights, and then we'll talk about what happened. We won't do like a full like analysis. We'll save that for the We Are Rising podcast or something like that. And do like the big 4-hour in-depth stuff. Yeah. But what we'll do is we'll just cover some of the fights that we saw, and the first one that kicked it off was the Yushi fight, and I love Yushi's entrance. But,
like flashy, huh?
Yeah, he looked good as a fighter, right? Like, but I think they need to maybe give him someone a bit better and see what happens next.
He's a good showman, and he's actually a striker, but I guess his opponent was only a striker.
Yes.
Because when they went to the ground, he didn't know what he was doing.
No, he didn't really have much at all, right?
I mean, but the ring entrance for both of them was real interesting.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
I think the Nakazawa is like some kind of actor.
Right.
So he brought some of those mobster actors.
Yeah, they kept showing like the little crew. They look like the Rat Pack sort of thing. Like.
And it just was so... I thought it was funny because he was getting schooled.
Yeah.
And they look so tough on there on the back, you know. I was like, oh, there's something not right about this.
Presumably they went in the back though. After they would like, did they come backstage or anything like that?
No, they went.
They were just in the crowd.
Yeah, I didn't see them come back.
So just for the people watching, me and Sarah were watching it. I have really cool seats actually. We were like raised up high, and but we're in like a sort of separate booth, right? It was pretty cool. And then Enson came and joined us later after. Yeah. But you were backstage for most of it with Tsuyoshi, but the fights were still on, right?
We're all watching all the fights. Yeah, so it's great fights, man.
Yeah. And so the next one that came up was Inoue. Unfortunately getting knocked out by Patrick Usami. That was...
Yeah, I thought the Black Panther, Beino, I thought he was going to do better because he's actually a karate fighter, so he's had more experience, and he had a lot more fights in the Rising show than Patrick did. Yeah, but Patrick's a young boy, strong kid, and I was surprised at how good he looked because his last Rising fight when he fought Shinji Sasaki. Shinji Sasaki. So when he fought Shinji Sasaki, he really looked like he was very tentative of throwing his hand. Yeah. But man, in this fight, man, it's fucking straight up boom.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've seen much of those type of knockouts.
Oh, when Inoue went down, it was like
dead body falling on the ground.
I was saying to Sarah, like he literally landed head first down.
Boom.
And then,
no movement.
And then they brought the stretcher out and everything.
Yeah.
I don't think they used it though. I think he
walked down. But
yeah,
that was a crazy
That was a really crazy knockout.
That was an amazing knockout. And I'm kind of excited because Patrick, he was actually with this huge company that I think it was LDH. What was that, Sarah?
Oh. Yeah, the Poundstorm stuff.
Yeah, so he was sponsored by LDH, which is a huge company because they have a lot of famous singers and dancers with it.
Right.
So what happened with him, the backstory with him is he wanted to fight in RIZIN, but they wouldn't let him fight. So what he did was he quit LDH, and he made that sacrifice in the last RIZIN. So it's so awesome to see him winning because he made a huge sacrifice. Yeah, so props to him, and I hope he does well.
Made the right choice as well, right? Because there hasn't been a Poundstorm.
Yeah, and the thing with him, good-looking kid, and he got a lot of. He's still at 22. Yeah. So he has a huge future ahead of him, man.
So the next fight, I don't know if you had a chance to see, but my personal pick, or probably RIZIN Fighter of the Year, Chihiro Suzuki going 5-0 this year.
Career
all big names, beat Ren, beat Imanari, and now we can add Nakahara to his list as well. Yeah. And it was funny actually because when the fight was going on, I was sort of a bit not nervous, but when I was watching it, I was a bit surprised because I was almost like, oh, Suzuki's striking it, and then bam, like out of nowhere, that one caught me completely off guard. But
yeah, so that Suzuki's a real polite kid. I've talked to him before. He's doesn't act like he's conceited at all. He's a very nice kid, and he was there at the Hawaii trials, and he jumped in when they needed a sparring partner. He was a real game kid, real polite kid, and man, I think he's gonna get it. He's a good-looking kid too. Good future for him. Yeah. The fans were really behind Suzuki, I think. Yeah.
And he's. We were talking earlier, right? That obviously he was in the news. For some of you guys that don't know, there was like a big scandal where he had a bit of a sugar mama, right?
Yeah, you want to almost say dating, but not really, because this girl's a very prominent, rich lady, a lot older than him. Do you know how much older she was?
I think like 20 years or something.
Oh, 20 years older? That's ridiculous. Anybody being 20 years older and together.
What the?
Oh, me and Sarah? But yeah, that was that scandal really got swept under the rug really well.
She's in prison now, though, right?
Because she embezzled money from. I think she embezzled money from the funds from the disaster. Yeah.
Oh right.
Yeah. So that's lower.
Yeah, it was like COVID relief funds and stuff like that.
That was kind of bad. Yeah.
But fair play to him though. Like literally, he spent the rest of the year just like getting wins. So it's cool that people are talking about his fighting, even though I just mentioned it. But people are still talking about his fighting and what a year he's had. So. And then moving on after that, we had another great fight, another quick finish. Johnny Cage versus Tyson. We were at the ceremonial weigh-ins.
Don't mention that.
If you guys didn't see, Tyson decided to get his kit off. I didn't even realize that this is a thing that he's always done.
He always does it.
So he's apparently, because they were showing clips of him doing it in like Shuto and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
He goes butt naked, and it's like.
The funny thing was at the ceremonial weigh-ins, like Johnny Cage, fair play to him, he just like didn't play into it at all. He was just kind of just like
he did flick his nipple on.
Yeah, but that was funny, right? Like I think a lot of fighters might have found it like really disrespectful sort of thing.
Yeah,
Case just was like beep. And then he had to move to the side because people were like, oh.
Well, the funny thing is when they had the face off, when they had the face off to the crowd, and they face off to the crowd, he had this little tray in the front, and then when they faced off to each other, because the tray goes sideways, one of the staff guy goes, no, turn back. So apparently you probably could see right down the side of the plate.
Right. Yeah. You were saying like imagine if you pushed him and then like his junk like
shove him on the ground, he's like,
plate goes flying.
Yeah, but it wouldn't be like wow, it would be like he's Asian, so we got to be honest about that.
But yeah, fun fight. And then Montoya, so what started off as not like kind of like sort of typical Montoya kind of slower fight against I can't pronounce his name, Bontarin, who was from the UFC. He was previously fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
He was like top 15 at one point.
Yeah.
And but then Montoya hitting that knockout was like, whoa, that caught me off guard. I think like
Yeah, you know what was a real surprising thing? I was kind of interested in watching this fight because Montoya had a hard weight cut.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So when we were there, he came on early in the day and didn't make weight. Put on his clothes, started running again. Came back. He stripped naked about 3 or 4 times.
Wow, just to like.
And then to a point where he would jump on the scale, come off, and like 1 second and get back on, like almost 4 or 5 times in a row. Like goes back and changes, runs around again, and comes back. And it got so bad I heard his corner saying that this is the hardest weight cut he's ever had. And then when he made weight, the whole room started clapping.
Yeah,
It got that dramatic for him. Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
I'm glad he made the weight, and fuck, he pulled off the knockout.
Yeah, seriously good. And like considering the competition, right? It's like a
you're talking
real
world class competition. This guy's actually been confirmed and fought in the UFC. So I mean, Montoya also I think fought in the UFC before. So
it definitely left like a good impression. I think to the Japanese fans.
Definitely.
Next up, we had a little bit of fun. We had Ren Hiromoto versus Mr. X. The mystery opponent.
Yeah.
Who was it then? Genji. Yes.
Genji Umeno.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, well, when I saw, I didn't, when they told me backstage it's Genji Umeno, I was like, who the hell is Genji Umeno? And then I Googled him. Well, Sarah actually sent me a message on his name, and then I saw his picture. As soon as I saw his picture, I knew like, oh shit, this guy can freaking scrap.
Yes.
And I didn't realize it because in the back in the locker room it said standing rules, so I didn't know if it was. Kickboxing rules, Muay Thai rules, or boxing rules, and apparently it was just boxing rules. Yeah. So I think that took out a lot of weapons that Genji would have. So,
but right at the end of the fight, though, Ren gets a big knockdown. Like
it was actually a knockout.
It was really, wasn't it? Yeah, it was pretty KO to be fair, but it was literally on the bell, so it was kind of one of them where it's like. But anyway, as you say, exhibition. I think it goes down
so it's exhibition. So no matter what, even if you knocked him in the first round, he couldn't continue. It'd be a draw.
But good,
kind of weird.
Raises stock quite a bit.
Yeah.
But we then had the intermission, but there was also quite a few announcements. So they actually announced that Mikuru is coming back. Obviously after the Floyd Mayweather fight, he's going to be facing
Ushku.
Yes.
The current champion. Oh
no,
he
previous
lost,
champ. Yeah. So he was suited and booted, and it could be a fun fight. Ushku's always like really difficult, right?
Yeah,
he's kind of like
he could surprise. It's not. You think Mikuru might win, but then Ushku can surprise you.
Yeah. So that's gonna be interesting.
Also, Hiromoto Ren was actually got called out for a fight too. Yeah. After his fight, he actually called in Sakakibara. I know they probably had that plan.
Yeah.
But they called him out, and he's fighting Saito.
Yes.
Yeah.
That could be. Yeah, it's quite.
That's going to be a good fight.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a test for Hiromoto Ren.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously very confident, and but you know what? I kind of. There's something I want to bring up about that fight actually, which reminds me.
Oh, that was horrible. I hated that. Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you about because he didn't do his little flip off thing. Who did it? Shibatar. Who's on the other side? Kubo. I wanted to get your thoughts on that because last year we had the scandal of Shibatar and Kubo, and everyone was like, we never want to see him in a RIZIN ring again.
Yeah.
Fast forward a year later, they're both in the ring, but not only that, they're at the same point doing a stare down while the rest of them doing a stare down. That was...
I don't know if it was planned by RIZIN or what, but I thought it was unfair to the fighters because, of course it was an exhibition, so it was okay. But it pretty much took away from the fighters. Those two guys were staring down and acting stupid.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah.
If I've had my choice, I would not allow both of them in the ring.
Yes.
I mean, of course, the Kubo, he fought after that and did good.
Yeah.
And he's actually a real legit fighter. But Shibata is the one who actually instigated the fake fight.
Yeah.
So for me, I would not ever let the guy in the ring. I think it's a real big disrespect for that guy to even be in the ring. And, I was actually waiting, if he came into our locker room, I was actually going to say something to him. I was telling you, just straight up tell him, you're so disrespectful for the fight. You should get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I mean, it's RIZIN's call, and then RIZIN has that little circus atmosphere where they want to create a little excitement and controversy. So that's their deal, man.
Surprising, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought it was stupid, and I thought that as much as it's had so much disrespect for the ring.
Yeah.
For them to make a joke about it 1 year later is ridiculous. I thought it was just
It
ridiculous.
was really like bad taste, right?
Yes, I thought so.
Like we're doing an exhibition bout, which already like some people will have issues with, but at the end of the day, it was actually a really good exhibition bout.
Yeah.
But the fact that actually we're kicking that off with like these guys, it's like you said, like Kubo. Actually, I was impressed with the last time. Like he came in, he had that fight at that awesome like elbows fit TKO, and it was like, oh, Kubo's like. He's here, he's gonna fight, and then they do this, and it's like, it's kind of it's a bad taste.
If they did it like where Shibata came and tried to do it out of the blue, and Kubo got mad about it, you know, for Kubo to play along with it like that, it's almost like you're laughing at the fans who you disrespected with the fake fight they try to pull off.
Yeah.
Not my taste.
And then the other announcement was Manny Pacquiao and RIZIN.
Yeah, I wonder if Mayweather got too expensive.
Maybe.
I'm sure they're still working with Mayweather, so I mean, wow, they're gonna bring Manny in
as well.
Wow.
And Saki Kabara was saying how it will be a Japanese fighter.
Not Nate Diaz then, huh?
No. So he said he's gonna be a Japanese fighter. And funnily enough, I saw me and Sarah saw CJ Charlie, who does the Let's Talk JMA podcast with Shuhara, and we were talking. And I said, who do you think the opponent's going to be? And do you know who he said? And I was like, that makes so much sense. He said, Kaya Sakura. Because, if you think about it, right? Mikuru fought Floyd. Kaya hasn't done anything in a while. Japanese fighter. Same-ish weight class. I don't even know what Pacquiao fights at these days. But, but I'm thinking, actually, that would make perfect sense. Because you need a big name, right?
Kai's a big name.
Kai's a big name. So... that's actually probably quite a good like money pick, right?
Yeah.
And if RIZIN didn't think of it, they probably did now.
Her podcast.
Yes, they got eyes on it. So after the intermission, we had Hideo Tokoro versus John Dodson, and I don't know about you. I love Tokoro. I love We Didn't Dream, but I don't want to see him fight again.
Well, for me, I kind of thought that's how it was going to go.
Yes.
One, the interviews at Tokoro, he was not confident. He was already worried about the fight. Dodson's still moving like a freaking lightning bolt.
I think he's 39 as well.
Oh my god! Like, I mean, did you see the way he was coming in with those body shots? It was hurting Tokoro. The body shots were hurting Tokoro.
Yeah.
And I think John Dodson's just a whole level, especially because Tokoro is like declining because of his age, or I don't know what it is. How old is Tokoro?
46, I think they said.
Okay, maybe I could say that then because of the age is declining a little bit. You got someone like Dodson who's a world class caliber and still moving like lightning. That was I think I would call that a mismatch.
Yeah.
So unfortunate, but I mean, great for Dodson. I hope to see him back in the rising. I hope it's not a one and done thing for these guys that came in.
Yes, no, I think Dodson has actually signed.
Oh, awesome.
Which is cool. So, and they're talking about building up the flyweight division, bringing in a flyweight belt.
Oh, that'd be
So
awesome.
Dodson, maybe him and Kyoji down the line could be a good fight. Like, because Kyoji fought 125. So, there's some good fights out there. I think he's going to fit in well, and it's going to be a good mix.
Yeah.
Next fight. Did you see this one? Were you there?
I don't know. It happened so fast. I think I missed it.
Next fight was obviously Tsuyoshi Sudario versus Junior Tafa. Lots to get into in this fight. Where do you want to start with?
Wow. When I heard that Junior Tafa was the next opponent, I looked at his videos and I thought, oh my God, this is going to be Tsuyoshi's toughest opponent.
100%.
And for one, I thought that, Tsuyoshi's only 2 years into the fight game. Not just MMA, but fight overall, just 2 years. So he's still a young boy. His standing is not near the level of someone like Junior Tafa. So for me, I felt like, okay, we got to get it to the ground. I mean, Tafa, I know, trains MMA, so his ground's probably pretty good too. But I thought that if anything, we had more chance on the ground than the standing. And it was one of those things that Tsuyoshi really wanted to stand with him. And for me, I had a dilemma as a coach saying like, okay, as a coach, should I tell him what I really believe? But I did actually tell him, but he still insisted he wanted to strike with him. And I felt, hey, if I were to fight Tafa, of course, my reason for fighting was a whole different reason, is to test myself. I would want to test myself in the person's strength.
Right.
So I would have done that. But he wants to win, so if he wanted to win, I think he should have actually the strategy should have been trying to get him down. But you know, I thought that okay, one, it'll win or lose, it would be a very exciting fight. And you know what? A loss isn't something that's necessarily bad. You can learn off a loss. You can gain more fire and, you know, desire to get better from a loss.
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes, you know, these young kids are winning like Tsuyoshi, and you know, they get a little too confident sometimes. And sometimes it's good to get brought back down to
reality
earth. Yeah, reality check. Yeah. So, you know, I was, when I saw him getting hit, I thought, oh, this is over, but I hope he doesn't. My whole thought was, I hope he doesn't get too hurt getting hit.
Right.
Yeah. So
And how was he after the fight? Like,
he was super bummed.
right.
And yeah, I could see that he was more disappointed. And Tsuyoshi the type of guy that's really worried about what he looks like.
Okay.
So he was more worried about what he looked like, and you know, about how weak he looked, how horrible he looked, and you know, he was really bummed about that. But we talked to him, you know, said that, you know, it could have been worse. And the most important thing for him is to learn from it and come back stronger.
Yes, definitely.
So yeah, he's okay. No big injuries. Maybe a little sore ankle from one of his kicks he kicked Tafa with. He had a swollen eye. I brought it down with the inswell, so he's okay with that. You probably get a little sore headache and small little things, but nothing severe. So God, it was. I think we'll see what happens, man. For the next fight's gonna really tell the story on what he's learned. Yeah,
what
because
he's gonna do.
You know, he lost to Shibisai, bounced back really strong.
And the thing is, you can't like downplay how good Tafa really is in my eyes, because when the fight was announced, I was like, oh shit, Tafa's like coming back from a kickboxing background. He's tough as fuck, man. He's been like doing street fights like half the time. Like those guys, you know, him, Justin, Taito Ivasa, Mark Hunt, like all of them, like they're just built differently, man. They're just kind of it's in their blood. It's what they do for fun, right?
Those like, island boys, they fight, they scrap, you know. So yeah, when I saw that too, I was like, oh, this is going to be Shoshi's toughest test.
Yes. And on the subject of Mark Hunt, you backstage after you bumped into Mark, right?
Yeah, I mean, Mark and I go back. I've met him and we became friends. You know, Sarah knew Mark too. Sarah interviewed Mark, so we have like a little bit of background. You know, and he was one of the fighters that fought in Pride, fought in K1. You know, so he's like a legend. You know, and it was nice to see him. I saw him. He's trying to call me boss. I'm saying, no, you're the boss. You know, but yeah, he's an awesome guy. You know, I mean, Mark Hunt. I mean, I wish he would still fight, because the Rising would love to have him.
Maybe they should, because he's
such a huge draw, man. He'd be such a huge draw.
Maybe next time.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, Mark, you saw his last fight, yeah?
Yeah.
He knocked the guy out. He was like a huge underdog.
Yeah.
So Mark still can hit. Mark still can fight. So, hopefully, you know, Mark changes his mind and decides to fight again, and hopefully Rising gives him an offer, because I'd love to see Mark come fight in Japan again. But love that guy, great guy.
Yeah, but credit to Junior, man, he's really great. So.
And Junior, and you know, I talked to his brother too backstage.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, the brother's
he's got a fight coming up.
He's in the UFC coming up soon. He said,
February. I think.
So it's funny because even Junior and what's his brother name?
Justin.
Junior and Justin, they came up and they started telling me, oh, you're such a legend.
Oh, really?
We hear good things about you from Mark. And
that's cool.
Oh, wow, cool, man. Like, these guys going to be the future fighters, man.
Oh, definitely. I think they're going to run the UFC.
It kind of makes me happy to hear that they know who I am, you know.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the guys like Sean Strickland, even Kevin Lee, you know, even Sean O'Malley, they're like, who's that? I never heard of him. So I mean, that's understood, but that's why more the so when, you know, these young kids like Junior Tafa and even his brother Justin know who I am. It's like, wow, cool, man.
It's definitely different here though, because like being with Enson and like walking around places, especially at the arena, you either hear Enson.
Oh, really?
Enson. Yeah. Like you don't even notice it, but me and Sarah are like, oh, you can hear it. Like, and but yeah, there's like loads of people asking you for pictures and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool seeing you. So it's funny actually because of where you were and like going backstage and then coming back to see us, you kind of had to like hat up, mask up, like keep a low profile.
You notice when I'm walking through the crowd, I'm walking real fast.
Yeah.
Got to keep a good pace on that. If you get stopped and you get mobbed, and it's like endless.
Yeah, that was good. So after that fight, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but we had Naoki Inoue versus Kenta Takezawa.
This is the only fight I really didn't see. So how did that go? I know Inoue got on the side, and
it was actually really competitive fight in the beginning, and it kind of showed. I think Takezawa is really underrated as a fighter.
Yeah, he's tough.
Although, funny story, right? So RIZIN kind of promotes him as kind of the like quirky, dorky guy. At the ceremonial weigh-ins, I went to them, and Enson was on the bus with some of the fighters, and I was walking around and I was like, oh, Enson's getting off the bus, let me see who else on the bus with him. They're leading all the fighters out one way, and everyone's, you know, going the right way. Takizawa comes off the bus and just walks the wrong way. And it's like, that summed up his character. And to me, that was the moment where I was like, wow, the Confessions videos and RIZIN, they do such a good job of like capturing their personalities that it's like, they just like, that is obviously what he's like as a person.
Oh my God.
But no, the fight itself, you know, Naoki Inoue looked really good, really elite. So really good finish there as well.
Yeah.
And then we had Izawa versus Siwoo Park. Did you get a chance to see that? And
I was really just. Oh yeah, I know. I actually was watching, but I was, you know, talking to Tsuyoshi, watching. But I did see it. Yeah, and that was a good fight, back and forth.
It was good, but it was super close. So it was like you left it basically wanting another round.
Yeah.
And you know, I think I put this on Twitter or something. I basically said that what would make sense is maybe to do a rematch for the belt and actually do 5 rounds, because it's, for me, it kind of left that like, yeah, Izawa, you can make the argument Izawa won, you can make the argument Park won, but we kind of need something a bit more definitive. So even if they did like an immediate rematch, I actually wouldn't hate that. Yeah. So I know RIZIN doesn't really do that, right? That's more of a UFC thing. But
well, I think the third round was already going into the favor of Park.
Yes.
Yeah. And, and usually, you know, RIZIN does what is that called? They do the you judge not fight per, round by round, but you judge the whole fight as a whole. And usually when you do that, the last round, because it's important rounds, and it shows kind of like if the fight went on in a real life, the last round is kind of tells the story of how the movement of the fight is going. So that's actually the strongest scoring round. And I thought Park did the best in that round, because I thought Izawa was getting a little desperate. She was kind of rolling and trying to get to the ground, and then ended up on the ground and couldn't really do much offense on Park. So, I mean, for me, when I saw that, I thought, yeah, like you said, another couple rounds would have solidified a better decision. But I actually thought Park won that fight. I was kind of surprised that they had Izawa win it.
It's quite funny actually, because like you spend your time like where we sat, like kind of looking at the screen, but kind of looking at the thing. And when it's more of a ground fight, you're kind of like watching the screen, so it's hard to see. I'd like to watch that fight back, like on TV, to see what it is. But no, good fight, and we had the usual waterworks from Izawa at the end, right? So but then we had another intermission. But then, oh my gosh. So we were talking about like the live experience of RIZIN. They come out, they do the second opening ceremony. Literally, they played the Pride theme, the music. It was so good. I think that, for me, that got me so hyped, because obviously it's like quite a long show. And the undercard had been really good with all the finishes and everything.
Was good,
And then they just throw in that like opening ceremony. It was like, wow, I felt so pumped just to see like what was going to happen.
Yeah, I heard that song come out.
And so I immediately messaged you and was like, oh, does this make you like get the itch, or like how do you like? Did it bring back memories, or like?
It brought back memories. As far as the itch, people ask me that a lot, even especially when we go to fights. I really I got it out of me.
Yeah.
I don't have any desire to fight. In fact, when I hear that, I'm more like, holy shit. I remember doing that and having to get ready for the fight, the anxiety you had before you go in the fight, getting ready to die, writing letters to my loved ones. You know, for me, it was so stressful. So when I hear that, I almost feel like, whew, I'm glad I'm done with that. You know?
Sigh of relief.
Instead of the ice, that anxiety of, whew, I want to fight again. You know? It's like, whew, I'm done. Phew. I can relax.
It was just one of those moments where it's like I got goosebumps, because I was like, oh wow, I can't believe, because I think we were talking earlier about before whether RIZIN had used the Pride theme before. I think Sarah said it was
I think
back
it was
like the first show.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really expecting that, but okay. Yeah, so they kicked off the Bellator versus RIZIN portion of the card with Takeda versus
Romanov. Whatever name you want to use. The first one, the last. Romanov.
Talented Dagestani wrestler. Let's go with that, right? But that was such a good fight. And that was such a good fight live. Like, the crowd reactions to when Takeda would like come back. And, like, it was so... That was probably the best fight live. Either that or the main event, I think, for a crowd reaction.
Yeah. For me, I mean, I'm into that, showing heart and showing that resilience. I felt that fight was probably the fight of the night, and I win or lose, it didn't matter to me. I think Takeda. I mean, for me, I mean, If I had to fight a MVP of the whole event, I'd probably pick Takeda. He like inspired me a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I thought like going into all of the RIZIN fights, I felt like he was probably the biggest underdog of all the Bellator versus RIZIN fights that people thought, oh, Takeda's probably going to lose because Dagestani wrestler. But actually seeing how he came back in round 1 and then how he went on to the rest of the fight, where it's kind of like some people I saw making the case, you know, that he won the fight. But it was, you know, super close in that sense. And I was just like, blown away by his performance, I think.
Towards the end of the fight, you could see that Romanov was actually human.
Yes.
You could see him getting hurt, getting tired.
Which is something you don't often see with Dagestani wrestlers, right?
Yeah, like, so that was something, wow.
Yeah, that was really fun, actually, because going into that fight, the thing that excited me was thinking, oh, how does that sort of style come in to like the RIZIN ring? What does that look like? Like, we kind of seen it with Musaev, but this felt a little bit different, right? With some, you know, with the Dagestani guys coming in and actually doing it, and obviously Khabib was there in his corner. I expected Khabib to sort of come in the ring and say something, but
I
he didn't actually.
I saw him get in the ring though.
Yeah, but no, it was really fun fight, really awesome, and like I say, the crowd reactions of when there was just like the smallest things, like just he would transition out of something. It would be like, whoa, the crowd,
they
like,
understand. They understand.
Like, it's so cool to see.
It
like,
is cool,
there's no people yelling. Like, it's super quiet. Everyone's listening, and then it explodes.
And Takeda showed Yamatodamashii, which you never see much. So for me, I was so stoked about that, and I believe he raised his stock.
Oh, 100%, definitely. Yeah. And we actually saw him when we were leaving, right?
Yeah.
What did you say to him?
I told him that I told him that don't hang your head. I said that fight you fought was an amazing fight. The heart you showed. I told him that, you know, you showed Yamatodamashii, and that's something that we don't see much in fighters today. And I actually thanked him for inspiring me and showing such a awesome heart and awesome fight that he did. And I told him, congratulations, man, good job. And he was pretty stoked.
Yeah. He should be. But yeah, he definitely deserved that praise for sure. The next fight, oh my gosh, this was a fun fight as well, right? They literally, it was like banger after banger after banger. This card, it was so good. But Soo Kim versus One Archuleta. If Soo Kim hasn't earned his Nintendo Switch, I don't know what he needs to do.
He should divorce his wife and get another one.
Like, felt like bringing him one to the arena just to give him mine, just so he could have it. Because honest to God, like,
tough, man. Tough.
I had him winning that fight. I don't know about you, but
I thought he got very dominated in the first round. Archuleta's wrestling skills and his aggression was just overwhelming. Kim was overwhelming Kim.
Yep.
But man, that guy just kept going.
So he's got the endurance. He's throwing the body shots as well, like body uppercuts, which is so good. He's so light on his feet as well. He is fast becoming one of my favorite current active fighters right now, just because it's like a different style, super fun. And Archuleta was really good and put on a really good performance, but he played a very smart fight. Do you know what I mean? Like, you could tell he had the strength, and he just took him down and kept taking him down and really sort of overpowered him.
I think he was getting a little tired towards the end.
Yeah, it felt like that a little bit.
And Kim looked like he was getting a little more energized.
Yeah, well, that's why I kind of scored it for Kim, because I felt like actually overall in the fight he looked a little bit stronger by the end of it. So
that was a toss up, man. I wouldn't be surprised or disappointed at all if they gave it to Kim.
But props to Archuleta as well. Like, even like his entrance was so good.
Awesome.
Like, he looked awesome.
They gave me goosebumps, man.
Yeah, he really embraced like coming to Japan, putting on a show. Like,
it was a Spanish thing.
He just sort of embraced the whole idea of like, this is a big show, I make a name, and his fight was definitely one of the ones I was most looking forward to going into this, and it definitely delivered.
And it was kind of like he's coming to war. It was like a war.
Yeah, you could tell he was like ready for it.
Fuck, that was awesome.
Yeah. And then we had Ogi Kubo versus Kyoji Horiguchi, which was funny.
Put me to sleep.
Yeah. I didn't want to say it, but it was one of them where it was kind of like, maybe it was because we were so spoiled, right? Every fight was so good. Yeah. And it was like, you know, the Yushi fight started a little bit slow, but then after that, it was like knockout, and just great performances by everyone. And then we kind of had this fight between Horiguchi and Ogi Kubo, and it just, I don't know, it just didn't really deliver. It just didn't have the hype that went into the fight, I guess. And after it, I was kind of thinking that I would have preferred to see Horiguchi versus Kim, because Kim beat Okikubu, right, in the last fight.
Yeah.
Maybe it would have made more sense to do that as the Ryzen.
That would have made more sense, yeah. But for me too, it was a Japanese against Japanese, two rising fighters. They, Horiguchi represented Bellator, but so that whole Bellator versus Rising was kind of dead on that one.
Yeah, it was a bit weird.
And then they fought so many times before.
Yeah.
So I just thought that. Technically the fight was really good. Technically,
yeah, it was a very good.
Yeah, but
fight.
they didn't have any of that real close finishes, the big punches like that. So of course Horiguchi caught Okikubo a couple of times.
Yeah, especially I think in the first round it was like
almost knocked him out. Yeah.
So, but no, I don't know who they put Kyoji up against. It depends whether he's going Bellator, whether he's going to Ryzen.
He fights both ways, so it could go either way.
He's still got the bantamweight belt, I think. I'm not sure whether he's given.
I think they announced him as the Rising champion.
Yes, he's still got it then.
Yeah, I think so.
Crazy. No one knows what's happening. And then, so the fight was kind of a little bit dull, and then as we kind of alluded to earlier, Pitbull comes out in this full-on Spartan gear,
yeah,
with the song that
the Brazilian national anthem.
Yeah, I get where he does it, right? But it was, I don't know if you can see the reaction from the crowd for Pitbull coming out. It just kind of killed it.
It didn't match. It didn't match because he's coming on like a war outfit and it's almost like a happy, almost like a child song,
like 1920s.
You want to kind of go yeah. So it kind of didn't match the
threw us out of it a little bit.
Yeah.
But obviously the fight with Kleber, Pitbull. I think one of the coolest things about going to this event with you and Sarah was just hearing your guys' takes on everything, hearing just little things around the groundwork, things that I had never even appreciated like that. It was so cool just seeing all that. But when we were talking about it, we kind of said is Pitbull holding back a little bit? He was very tentative in the striking, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know whether he was really worried about Kleber's ground game, and he obviously didn't play that at all, right? He did not go, unlike AJ in the main event, Pitbull didn't go anywhere near it. He respected Kleber's ground game a lot, but I just felt it wasn't the Pitbull performance I was expecting. I kind of expected him to go balls to the wall, but I think
credit to Kleber.
Yes, I think Kleber did not lose any respect in my eyes. He still looked very good. Yeah. He looked as good as you could coming off a loss, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Kleber, I think a big thing for him is he wanted to test himself with the world scene. Pitbull is one of the best fighters in the world in that division, So the fact that Kleber hung with him and went, full rounds with him shows that, win or lose, I think Kleber proved that he is a world-class fighter.
Yeah, definitely.
Not just a rising fighter.
Yeah. I mean, we'll come on to it at the end about Rizin's overall performance, but I think that is good. The main event was funny actually because we were trying to get out quickly, right? So we actually watched it from a different area, but it was pretty cool. We were right by the stage and we could see the ring, and for the big entrances of AJ McKee and Souza, they had the confetti and the money and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool seeing that so up close and personal.
Yeah. You got to say hi to Kleber.
I got to say hi to Kleber as well. It was just it was a good place to watch the main event, I think. But that decision, what? Robbed.
Yeah, I thought Souza won that. Yeah, I was kind of surprised.
It's one I would like to watch back.
Yeah, I think we would have to. Yeah,
because we were kind of look at the screen like this.
Yeah, and you're kind of watching that angle. Yeah,
so it would be good to kind of see it again. But for me, it was just one where, props to AJ McKee. He literally
took it to him.
Yeah, he said, "I'm coming into Rizin. I'm looking forward to using the soccer kicks. I'm gonna play by the rules."
He did too. He caught him with some good soccer kicks. Yeah,
I think it's having your buddy Rampage in the corner, having obviously his dad.
Rampage.
Japan, so they're probably yo, this is Japan. You gotta fight you gotta fight how they fight, and he did. And so I think it was really cool to see such a good main event for kick off an awesome event. It was cool because we were kind of saying whoa, when the flipping not the Kim fight, the Kyoji fight was happening, we were a bit like, oh shit, imagine if the fights were a bit like lackluster and then it ends on like a bit of a dud. But it was so good that both Souza and AJ were like going for everything, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, I thought, AJ, I think maybe might have put out more damage on Souza, like his face and stuff with the little strikes he was sitting. But I thought that they should have had more emphasis on Souza's near submissions, near attempted.
Oh, with the choke.
How many times, and he had the back how many times, so.
Because AJ had really good defense, right? Of, like,
AJ had really good defense,
Considering how deep he had the body triangle and everything, and then he had at one point standing up, it was like, Souza kept getting in that position, so.
Overall, it was a great fight, both aggression, good high level, and again, just like the Kleber fight, it just showed that Rising is at that level.
Yeah.
I think Rising, I always thought that, okay, Rising, but when you go to Bellator UFC, but man, I think tonight, although, it doesn't do it justice.
No.
Bellator 5-0.
Yeah.
But Rising was right up there, man.
100%.
2 or 3 other fights could have gone either way.
So I was saying this to Sarah, right, that what's going to be interesting is I think a lot of the Japanese fans, a lot of the people here that watched it will have that same thought that, Rising guys are competitive, they fought really well. And like clued up fans will have that as well. Like the hardcore JMA fans that you see online, they'll have that opinion as well. Whether the rest of like the MMA media, like, are the headlines coming out tomorrow, like 5-0 Bellator, like, it's gonna be like Bellator, like clean sweep. It's gonna be, you're gonna tell the people that watched it and the people that didn't.
Yeah, and people are just making judgment on just winners and losses.
Yeah, let's hope people actually give them enough credit for actually some of the fights there. But overall, amazing event. My first time seeing RIZIN live. My first time going to Saitama Super Arena.
Hope not the last time.
Definitely not. It was super addictive.
All right.
What a fantastic show. And thank you so much for sorting out the tickets.
Awesome. Yeah, so good event. I think it was a big plus for Rising and Bellator.
Yeah.
I'm sure the Japanese fans will follow some of the Bellator fighters now.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I mean, overall, I think it was good for MMA. I thought the Rising fighters should not hang their head. They did super good. Hopefully they can do it again.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think that wraps up this episode. We wanted to just get something out there. This is literally straight after the event. We literally just drove home and decided to stick the camera on and record what we're talking about.
Yep.
But we got loads more other content coming your way while I'm here. There's not many days left, about 3 or 4, but we're filming all sorts of stuff, so look out for that. And thanks everybody for watching, and we'll be back again soon.